Some truths are whispered only to the soul, not because we fear being heard, but because we know most will never understand. Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life when silence is louder than words, when restraint becomes the highest form of strength, when what we choose not to share defines the quality of our peace. And in those moments, the intelligent, not just the educated, not just the clever, but the truly wise, they understand a sacred rule. There are three things that must remain unspoken. They are not secrets out of shame. They are not mysteries to appear superior. They are walls that protect the mind, the heart, and the spirit. The first, the depth of your pain. Some pains are so deep, so intimate, they don't have language. They live in the shadows of our hearts, behind smiles and beneath steady voices. They are the battles fought in silence, the nights spent wide awake, with 1,000 thoughts clawing at the mind. And yet we walk among crowds, go to work, laugh at jokes, and carry on as if nothing ever happened. This isn't weakness, it's strength. It's choosing not to let the world see your bleeding, because the truth is, most don't care, and the few who do can do nothing about it. The intelligent person understands that sharing the full weight of their pain with others doesn't make the burden lighter. It only makes them vulnerable in a world that doesn't always know how to hold tenderness gently. There's a cruel thing about suffering. It isolates you, even when you're surrounded by people. You can try to explain it, you can dress it in words, but the depth of your experience, the texture of your ache, remains lost in translation. And that's why the wise remain quiet. Not because they are cold or emotionless, but because they've learned that no one can fully walk with them through the fire. They've learned that not every heart is ready to witness brokenness without judgment or misuse. Some will minimize it, others will exploit it, and a few will carry it briefly before returning to their own lives. So instead of casting their pain like seeds into soil that will never nourish it, they plant it within themselves, where it becomes a garden of quiet strength. There was a man once who had lost everything that meant something to him, his family, his home, his future. But he showed up to life every day, not as a victim, not as a shell, but as a man with purpose. He worked with cracked hands and tired bones, never speaking of the hell he'd walked through. Someone once asked him why he never talked about his story. His answer was simple: because it is mine. In those words was a universe of wisdom. Pain that is held with dignity becomes power. When you keep your suffering sacred, it doesn't rot you, it refines you. The intelligent person holds their pain not as a burden, but as a forge. They walk through fire and become steel, not ash. There's a temptation, especially in moments of weakness, to spill everything to someone, hoping that in the sharing there will be relief. And sometimes there is, but often there is regret. Because words, once spoken, can be misunderstood, judged, or repeated. And in the wrong hands, your pain can become gossip, entertainment, or ammunition. Intelligent people know this. They've been burned before. They've learned that the strength to endure is often built in silence. They sit with their storms. They scream inside, but their eyes remain calm. And that calm isn't emptiness. It is control. It is the decision to protect the one thing no one else can carry for them, their inner world. Many will argue that vulnerability is courage, and yes, it can be, but not with everyone. Vulnerability without discernment is disaster. It's opening your door to thieves and expecting safety. The wise understand timing, space, and trust. They don't pour their hearts out to anyone willing to listen. They wait, they observe, they ask themselves, will this person hold my pain with care, or will they simply hold it long enough to drop it? In that question lies the difference between being intelligent and being naive. Not everyone deserves access to your depths. Some people only deserve the surface. There is also an unspoken beauty in carrying your pain quietly. It's not about hiding or pretending, it's about transforming. When you carry your hurt with grace, it begins to teach you. It teaches you empathy. It teaches you patience. It teaches you how to see pain in others without needing them to say a word. You begin to notice the silent suffering in the eyes of strangers, the tremble in a friend's smile, the heaviness in someone's casual, "I'm fine." That is what makes pain holy. It connects you to humanity without requiring you to explain your own. And perhaps most of all, silent pain builds endurance. It stretches the soul, shapes the mind, and teaches the heart how to keep beating even when it's broken. The intelligent person doesn't seek pity. They don't want to be seen as victims. They want growth. They want evolution. They want to use their pain, not broadcast it. Because in the end, when the wound heals, they will look back and realize that their strength wasn't born from what they said. It was born from what they survived without saying. The second, the depth of your wisdom. Some things lose their value the moment they are spoken. Wisdom is one of them. It is not meant to be scattered like coins in the street, hoping someone will find it and treasure it. True wisdom is quiet, reserved, patient. It waits until it is needed, and even then it is offered gently, not forced. An intelligent person knows that the depth of their understanding is not something to be advertised, because most people don't want truth. They want comfort. And truth, when spoken freely without invitation, often becomes a threat instead of a gift. So the wise hold their insights like a candle in the wind, carefully, protectively, because they know how easily it can be extinguished by ignorance. There's a moment in every person's life when they realize that speaking too much can become a weakness, not because the words aren't true, but because the ears aren't ready. An intelligent person does not measure their wisdom by how often they speak, but by how much they don't say. They understand that some people will ask for guidance, not to grow, but to argue. Others will seek your knowledge just to compare it to their own, and some, if you're not careful, will take what you know and twist it until it no longer resembles the truth you tried to share. So you learn that silence is not emptiness, it is protection. There was once a young man who sought the advice of an old philosopher. Eager to prove his own intelligence, he interrupted constantly, challenged every word and questioned every idea. The old philosopher listened calmly, never interrupting. At the end of their conversation, the young man said, "You've taught me nothing." The old philosopher replied, "You never made room to listen." That is the nature of wisdom. It cannot be poured into a cup that is already full. The intelligent person does not waste their energy trying to teach those who have already decided they know everything. They know that wisdom only flows where there is humility. Sometimes silence is the most intelligent response. When you know something that could shift an entire perspective, but you choose not to speak because you see that the timing is wrong, that takes discipline. It takes strength. It takes a rare kind of confidence to be the quietest voice in the room, especially when you know you're the one who understands the most. But the wise person isn't interested in proving themselves. They aren't chasing validation. They're grounded. They know that truth doesn't need applause. It needs time. And in time, what is real always reveals itself. Wisdom is not loud. It doesn't demand. It doesn't boast or beg to be heard. Instead, it moves silently, like roots beneath the ground. Unseen, but essential. An intelligent person doesn't speak to impress. They speak to serve. And if their words do not serve a purpose, they remain unspoken. This restraint isn't arrogance, it's discernment. It's knowing that the more you talk, the more you reveal, not just about what you know, but about what you don't. So they choose stillness over noise, clarity over clamor, and depth over display. To share wisdom too freely is to invite misunderstanding. People will take your words and hear only what fits their world. They will distort it, question your intentions, or mock what they do not understand. This is not cynicism, it's reality. And the intelligent person accepts this reality with peace. They speak when their words can build something. They remain silent when their words would only provoke, and when the moment is right, when the heart is open and the mind is calm, they offer truth like water to the thirsty. Nothing more, nothing less. There is also a quiet sadness in having wisdom that must be held alone, to see clearly when others are blind, to understand deeply when others live on the surface. But the intelligent person learns to live with this loneliness. They do not resent the world for not understanding. Instead, they stay grounded in their truth. They pour their wisdom into their actions, their choices, and their discipline. Not into debates, not into arguments, and not into noise. Because they know the most powerful wisdom isn't spoken, it is lived. The depth of your next move. There is a sacredness in planning that cannot survive too many voices. The early stages of any dream, any idea, any goal are fragile, like a flame in the wind. Speak too soon and that flame can be extinguished by doubt, jealousy, distraction, or even well-meaning advice that pulls you off course. An intelligent person knows this. They know that their next move, when revealed prematurely, becomes vulnerable not just to outside influence, but to their own wavering confidence. That's why they hold their plans close, not out of secrecy, but out of strategy. They understand the value of quiet preparation. When you speak your ambitions too freely, you invite the world into a process it does not understand. People will judge what they cannot see and critique what they could never build. Some will project their own fears onto your courage. Others will try to shape your vision with their limited perspective. And if you are not strong enough to protect that vision, it will begin to shrink to fit their expectations. That's why the wise remain silent. They know that growth is not a performance. It is not meant for public consumption. It is personal. It is sacred. It is quiet. There is a reason seeds grow underground, not because they are ashamed of what they are becoming, but because they need darkness, warmth, and protection to root themselves. In the same way, your plans must be nurtured in silence. They must be given time to take form before being exposed to the harsh light of opinion. An intelligent person works in the shadows, not because they are hiding, but because they are building something worth revealing only when it's ready. And when it is revealed, it no longer needs defending, it speaks for itself. Too many people waste their energy trying to convince others that they are going to do something great. They announce their intentions, hoping for applause or affirmation, believing that if they speak it loudly enough, it will somehow make it real. But the intelligent person knows that applause doesn't build anything. Words don't lay bricks. Validation doesn't move mountains. Only work does. Quiet, consistent, disciplined work. That's why they focus less on announcing and more on achieving. They let their success be the only explanation anyone will ever need. There's also a protection in silence that is hard to explain. When people don't know your next move, they can't interfere with it. They can't sabotage it, steal it, or poison it with their doubts. They can't rush you or slow you down. They can't measure your progress with their own standards. You move freely, without pressure, without expectation. That's the beauty of discretion. It gives you space. It gives you time. It gives you power, and the intelligent person guards this power with everything they have. Even well-intentioned people can become distractions. Share your plans too early, and you'll be met with endless questions, unsolicited opinions, and emotional attachments to outcomes you're still figuring out. You'll find yourself explaining, justifying, overthinking. The intelligent person avoids this trap. They know that peace is essential to progress, so they choose to build in silence. Not because they owe no one, but because they owe themselves the freedom to evolve without interference. They create without commentary, they move without noise. There is also a deeper discipline involved, one that most overlook. Keeping your plans to yourself is not just about protecting them from others, but about training yourself to focus. When you don't speak it, you don't waste energy managing people's expectations. You don't perform progress, you make progress. You're not tempted to dramatize the journey for validation. You are simply in the work, fully, intentionally, relentlessly. That kind of focus becomes a weapon, and the intelligent person wields it quietly, knowing that true success is not built in public, it is revealed in public, but forged in solitude. So the intelligent person guards the depth of their next move, like a warrior guards a sword. They sharpen it in silence, they carry it with care, and they only draw it when it's time to strike. They do not rush the process, and they do not explain the process, because they understand something most do not. When you move with purpose and discipline, the results will speak louder than any announcement ever could. Let others guess. Let them underestimate. Let them doubt. In the end, your silence will become your strength, and your execution your loudest declaration. In a world that never stops talking, the intelligent person chooses silence not as weakness, but as wisdom. They carry their pain with quiet strength, knowing that not everyone deserves to witness the weight they bear. They protect their wisdom, offering it only where it will be honored, not where it will be wasted, and they move in silence, building their future away from noise, doubt, and distraction. This isn't secrecy, it's self-respect. It's clarity, it's power. The deepest truths, the most sacred lessons, and the most powerful transformations happen when no one is watching. So speak less, trust the silence. Let your life be the proof, not your words, and as you walk forward, carry your pain with grace, your wisdom with humility, and your dreams with fierce protection. In doing so, you will not only build a life of substance, but one of serenity, strength, and quiet mastery. Thank you for listening. May your silence be your sanctuary, may your strength be your story, and may your journey be blessed. Always. God bless you.